Shake here with a quite old battle that I still had on my computer recorded, so I wanted to publish it. This is a bottom tier battle in the RHM. I am running the large gun. As you see, I have 22 shots of HE and 8 shots of heat. This is actually from towards the end of last year, and it's just been sitting there waiting for me to properly publish it. The thing is this is a battle where I'm using the camouflage rating of the RHM to not only stay hidden for my own shots, but as you'll see as the battle develops, again, this is a bottom tier, tier 10 on Prokhorovka, but I actually end up being the primary spotter for my team. Not a role that you would normally think that the Rheinmetall Borsig would be put into, but, you know, so be it in this case. And it's a combination of the fact that I'm running binoculars and a camouflage net, and using bush cover, as well as the inherent nature of how stealthy the RHM is itself. But I'm looking for shots of opportunity to begin with, but my end goal is to get right along the map's border over here along the one line. Of course, as you see here, I don't want to be the first vehicle over there, because bottom tier and with artillery in the game, this is, again, keep in mind, this is before anything has been changed. HE was hugely lethal to the RHM. Still can be, but now I feel that it's going to... The HE changes, I might even do a video specifically on that, although everybody else, plus their dog, has probably done a video at this point. But I may do my own video on it, because this is one of my go-to fun vehicles, and I feel like the inconsistencies that are now inherent with it, and I know that the whole intention that Wargaming had with the HE changes is to basically punish the whole snapshot. You know, you can't just turn your gun, have HE loaded, and deal 400 or 500 damage. You need to actually properly aim. And I know this. However, keep in mind, all of the weapons that are HE, predominantly as their main ammo, none of them have high accuracy. So placing your shots is not going to be easy. As you see there, that was a mostly full aim shot, and I was still just basically aiming for the center of his turret. And that was on a Progetto. And I dealt 300 and some damage. Now that may be a 0 damage shot, unfortunately. And keep in mind, this is a 150 millimeter gun, 15 centimeters. That's nearly 6 inch. A 6 inch gun firing a high explosive shell is going to deal monstrous damage even to modern vehicles. You know, a 6 inch gun firing a raw HE shell would hit an Abrams and still today cause monstrous damage. You know, it might be superficial on the outside, but it's going to destroy optics. It's going to blow apart, exterior equipment. And what World of Tanks has basically done is it's eliminated the ability for me to do that right there. I couldn't consistently now rely on this HE, which is going to force people in this day and age now, here in June of 2021, this battle is from the end of 2020, so 7 months later after this battle was fought, this game may not be able to be played with HE. I may have to switch back to the 12.8 centimeter gun, the famous 128 that the Jagdtiger actually carried in World War II, and it's available on the RHM. Or, I hate to say it, I might have to fire more heat. As you can see at the time, I only carried 8. Well, now as of the day of this recording, this is one day after the changes have been put into effect. And now my ammo loadout right now is 10, 10, 10. I have 10 HE, 10 heat, 10 armor piercing. And I use the HE only for the very lightest armored vehicles. I use the heat for heavies, and I use the AP for mediums, other tank destroyers, and I even do fire it at some light tanks. And armor piercing has 215 millimeters of pen. Again, with a little bit low on the accuracy. And the shell velocity is really the big thing. As you watch this gun lob its shots, the flight time of the shell is actually slow enough somebody could have actually moved, angled, whatever it might have been. As you see here, I'm going to hit the front of this Object 705 for just over 200 damage. And of course I tracked him, so I hit him, it looks like for 276, and then he took all the tracking, so I'm getting assistance that way. And again, if you're looking to ace vehicles or mark vehicles, tracking is a huge help. And that's going to be how I get a bunch of my assistance here. It allows me to pin an enemy in place for my teammates to get a chance at him. Something that a lot of people don't consider. If you can track an enemy in a bad position, your teammates may get the chance to actually finish them off completely. As you can see, I'm noticing the Kronvan with his side to me. That did not hit. You can see the dirt fly up in the air. Again, I talked about HE for blind shots. That was almost a blind fire because he was going dark, but if you fire HE, you'll see the explosion hit the dirt. As you see, I'm waiting for him to kind of climb back into that position he is obviously liking. And here comes the Kronvan back into my view. He's at the very edge of my render range. But instead, here we have a much better target. And there is a 0 damage hit, but that hit his gun and exploded out on the barrel. So right there on the gun tube, that even at this point was a 0 damage hit, but it probably damaged or knocked his gun out. Which is a worthwhile shot for me to do, because then he won't be able to fire at the Object 263 that's there. Because at this point it's tie game, and I have my Object 263, the 705A, and myself on this flank, along with the artillery is kind of over here. But now I need to be sneaky and kind of work my way up to the bushes. And I actually spotted him once my binoculars activated. I need to get up here further. And there was a heat shell. As you see, I'm clicking back over to it. I'm going to try to put a heat shell into that IS. The heat, unfortunately, is probably going to be what most RHM players who like the big gun, the heat's probably going to be what they turn to. I can definitely envision more people clicking the 2 key instead of trying to fight with the new HE. And talking about it with my wife, because of course those who don't know, if you watch my channel that don't watch her, that is WatChick, she and I were talking about this, and both of us have the same idea. Most people aren't going to deal with it. They're not going to try to deal with the HE change and the frustration that it's going to cause. They're just going to fire more premium. And in this case, you're seeing me do that in this game even. But this is for very heavily armored tier 10s and tier 9s. I'm spotting the IS-4 there. And now at the very back, here's the VK. And once my binoculars kick in, I am the primary spotter, so I pull forward to spot them, and then I'm backing up so that I can fire and get some damage myself. And I'm looking for the shot. IS-4 has some armor that can bounce a bit, but he's not going to bounce that. The RHM's heat is actually pretty devastating. I'm trying to not spam it. You see I'm going back and forth, HE to heat. Right now I think I fired a dead even amount of each. I think I fired 5 of both at this point in the battle. And now I'm going to be playing musical ammo now that the HE changes have hit. And like I've said, now I've got my targets I use HE for. That'll be for, say, other RHMs, Scorpions. And their E50 is using the smaller gun, the 88. Now he's landed a couple hits on me. They're blind firing, I'm not spotted, which is smart of them. They know somebody's up there spotting. I'm sure they don't know that it's an RHM, but they know somebody's spotting them. But we need to break this flank because it's still a close game, despite me having what already would be close to an ace with over 2200 damage and over 3100 spotting at this point. But we do need to break this flank open. That would allow us to push the cap. But still at the same time, while we have to have a little bit of urgency, we also need to be careful. There's enough firepower back there, because knowing that there's an E50, the VK, the IS-4, that's enough that I'm definitely able to be taken out quickly. Now our Object 705 could make a push. See there, I hit, the shell hit a little lower than where I was aiming. Right now that would probably be a 0 damage hit. And instead, I was able to get a good solid hit into him. And now again, that would be a 0 damage, most likely. Trying to find the shot on the VK. A little bit of a low roll, but my teammate was able to finish him off. And there's the E50. I'm waiting on the loading, waiting on the loading, waiting on the loading. It's like I want to get the guy back. And there it goes, but no penetration. I should not have used the heat shell. I've got HE clicked, so I'm looking to finish off one of the two. Unfortunately, this is going to be a heat shell. Now I've got my last one loaded. I fired 7 so far. And now that we've opened up this flank, the enemy is in a bad position, and we can easily put a little bit of cap pressure on and then force them to come to us. There's only 2 of them left, and that is what we should be doing. Fling the shot, and it sails over. That was an expensive miss. But now we've got the Kronvan, who has moved himself over to the eastern side of the map. And now it's more of who's he going to try to clip out. Oh, there we go. The 110 is taking hits. The battle's going to be over in less than 2 minutes. As you can see, he's clicking all over the hill. Now the Kronvan's going to be able to reload and easily kill the next person who comes at him. He's in the ideal position. If he's on that hill, that is the ideal position for him to be in. So the wisest thing to do right now is just to go get on cap it out, get the win. If we feed tanks to him, he's going to end up with a huge game, and the timer's going to end up running out. There's no point. If he's that far away, he can't reset. Just get the win at this point. And that's what I'm thinking, because it's already been a great game. Right now, because I'm showing over 3,200 damage and over 3,500 spotting. I'm just aiming my gun in that direction. And I want to showcase this battle because I did use both ammo types. I used all 8 of my heat shells, but I also used 6 HE. And the HE, unfortunately, won't be anywhere near as effective now on low accuracy guns. And you can see for yourself the results here. It was a nearly 4,000 spotting, 4,000 damage, ace. I was top of the team in both experience and damage, and this is a tier 10 game. I unfortunately think this might be a thing of the past for the RHM unless I switch to the other gun, which I will most likely do. But I hope you enjoy this, and thanks for watching.